Alrighty, we ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Are you ready to hop on the clown car or hop in the clown car?
This is a strange and confusing world we live in.
When these dads meet world, watching Boy Meets World. We grew up on the show, now we have kids and host a podcast. We watch each episode and then share our thoughts and grades. When these dads meet world.
They want you to take the roles. Oh, welcome back, good-looking people. They do want you to take those roles, and we just want you to have a good time. I am one of your two dads for this podcast, Tyler. Join with me is
Brainiac Daddy 2,
very
Brett.
nice. I wondered if you would call attention to that. Yes, this is Dads Meet World, the weekly deep dive into that classic '90s show known as Boy Meets World. Brett, our young uh, individuals, our Cory, our Shawn, and Topanga, and our Eric, they're really close to becoming adults at this point.
They really are.
You know, I don't know why, but for some reason, I was thinking about this the other day of like, oh, I forgot that like midway through season two, all of a sudden, like they are in the adult realm now.
hmm
So, yes. But Brett, what's new with you? Anything?
Let's see. New with me. My youngest was away at camp last week. He came
Ah,
back over
yes,
the
very
weekend. That
nice.
was fun. Yeah.
His
So got to hear all kinds of
glamming,
stories.
glamping.
Oh, his glamping. No. Other than sleeping in the air condition, they really didn't spend much time there. They spent a lot of time in the lake, in the pool. He was riding the zip rip, which is like a zip line into the water.
Nice.
And if you've never been out into a lake, you just ride a zip line and then drop into the water.
Hmm.
Rode a horse named Utah. Uh, yeah, a lot of fun stuff.
Very nice.
And yeah, so getting ready to go see Inside Out 2 tomorrow night.
Ooh, we went
So
and
by the
saw
time
that.
this drops, we will have seen it. Yes. So
Real
who
quick,
knows?
Brett.
Maybe maybe
What's your
next
quick
week we can actually offer our
what's your
thoughts.
quick Inside Out to review before you go and see it?
It was a movie about emotions.
Did you like the first one?
I enjoyed the first one, yes.
Good.
Yes. I think I only saw it once, so my memory of the first one is very dim.
Hmm.
I don't remember a whole lot about it.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to rewatch it before you go and see it. Just kind of have it on the background while you're messing around with some other stuff.
I will probably throw it on in the other room after I'm done recording tonight,
Mhm.
as I'm doing a few other things and falling asleep.
Fair. I will say, I highly recommend the Riley's First Date little short. We get a
hmm
little more interaction with the parents' brains or their emotions. So yeah, I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
I'm making a note for myself. Yes.
I will say, there's a part of me that does wonder, Brett, is all the stuff they do not physically inside of Riley, but instead part of a different reality where they just have this gate into helping her do things?
Mm, it would have to be.
Yeah. I mean, unless it's this, they're saying physically within inside the brain gush. This is all that's happening as well.
It would have to be microscopically within the brain gush.
Yep. Well, good looking people, if you are watching on YouTube, you'll already know what's new with me. But for those of you that are just listening, first of all, hello. But second of all, I no longer have my big burly beard. We went swimming this past week because it was super hot. And every time that my face would leave the water, I could feel little tickles around my chin and getting into like my neck area. And I was like, I think it's lived its purpose. I annoyed my mom at least once or twice. Um, yeah, I literally had my beard basically like the intention of growing it out since last hunting season. A little bit into like the October ish, getting ready for proper hunting season for me, and then I just didn't really shave it other than Before my daughter was born, I trimmed right around my cheek and underneath. But other than that, I let it go. Um, so yeah, it really was up until the point that my wife said, maybe you should trim it. That I went, okay, it's probably about that time. So yes, I went back to the goatee, and I will say one of the things you always forget after you grow your beard out quite a bit is it's nice to not have anything like right up against you and getting the cool breeze hit you here and there. Yes. So yeah, so that's new with me. Baby girl still doing really good, becoming more active and more fun. She's still waiting to meet her Aunt Kelly.
Yep, we're trying to figure out when exactly we can get out there.
No, I'm just teasing.
We're yeah, we are taking the kids camping this weekend,
Ooh,
so it won't
very
be this
nice.
weekend. Yes.
Um, but yeah, Brett, we should probably get into the episode proper, though. There's a lot to discuss with an A plot.
We should, but before we do, I wanted to take one moment and update you on our TikTok situation
Yes.
that I brought up last week. I was able to find a report form to lodge a
Hmm,
complaint and request some assistance. And I got some feedback.
okay.
It says simply, "Hi there. Thanks for contacting TikTok. We understand how important your account is to you. After further review, your account will remain permanently banned due to a violation of our community guidelines. Note, not multiple, A.
What was the
Please note that
violation?
our Oh, let me keep reading. Please note that our community guidelines apply to both public and private content, as well as hashtags and links to third-party websites. For further information on your account violation, please reference our community guidelines." And then there's a hyperlink. Best, the TikTok team. Well, I went to the hyperlink and looked through every single word linked on that page. I can't figure out what we would have posted. Nothing I have ever posted to that account was a violation of anything there. We have posted anything there is still up on both Facebook and Meta, and they are much more vigilant about their content
Yeah.
being sensitive to any one individual person or group. And there's no information given there. And the only links that we were able to give was a link back to our Instagram account. That's the only link we were able to have. So I I responded to it very graciously, asking for at least an explanation as to what the violation was or were, and once again explaining, hey, this is the stuff we posted and it's still up on Facebook and Instagram, and
Right.
their censors it hasn't violated their content guidelines, and they're even more stringent than you guys are. But that was 2 days ago and I haven't heard back yet, so I'm not expecting to hear back. So good looking people, we're probably done with TikTok.
Yeah.
You'll probably just have to watch our videos on Instagram and
Well,
Facebook.
I did just kind of like after we got done, I like just did a quick on my personal was like, hey, I don't understand this stuff. Can anyone give like a hand, like tell me what we can do? And basically, people had just said, hey, this person helped me get unblocked. And there's no like, this is a person who works for TikTok. So I don't know.
Oh no, they're
Right.
hackers.
So,
We got at least 3 different ones recommended to us on our Dads Meet World X account when I when I called the TikTok support account out
right.
publicly.
So, I mean, I guess that could be just a small complaint on my end, then, is like these social media accounts, like these companies that people spend so much time on, if there's a true issue or complaint, is there even a possibility that an actual human being looked at the thing?
In this case, I very much doubt it, because this is totally a form letter. This is a form response. There is no human interaction here at all. This is just something that is automatically generated. Anyway, how about we get into our 100th episode?
I don't want to, Brett. I want to keep complaining about TikTok.
Well, good looking people, this is our 100th episode for Dads Meet World. This is not Boy Meets. Yes, this is not Boy Meets World 100th episode. We'll get to that in season 5. But this is Dads Meet World's 100th episode. We're looking at episode 19.
Hey, hold on real quick. We covered way before Pause Meet World covered My Date with the President's Daughter. And I'm going to say, I think our episode's better.
Yeah, I would agree. So take that.
Yeah.
We would still welcome any of you three on our show.
Yeah, you're all terrific people and you're wonderful. We adore you.
Anyway, we're looking at episode 19 of season 4, Quiz Show. The educational game show High School Quiz. It's not High School Quiz. It's High School Quiz Show.
Yeah.
Is suddenly, like I said, I don't write these synopses, good looking people, is suddenly popular once again. By the way, this came straight from IMDb. Once again, when Cory, Shawn, and Topanga get involved with the show, the questions are intentionally dumbed down to accommodate the 3 guests, and Mr. Feeny is dismayed at the sacrificing of education for entertainment. Now, I am going to open up a different window here because I am seeing some changes that did not take effect here. And because my information is not correct when I'm looking at my my writer for the episode. I know that's not the right guy. So I'm going to vamp a little bit. Da, da, da. Boy Meets World. Which is sad because I remember changing all of this information. It just didn't save. Da, 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 do, I feel like it's a Mentos commercial. Oh, that's what happened. I changed the wrong line. All right. Yes. So the episode, it was directed by Jeff McCracken. I changed the wrong information on the wrong line. That's what I was looking at.
Nice.
Directed by Jeff McCracken. Written by a gentleman by the name of Stephen Hibbert. Yes, Stephen Hibbert. Who, let's see, I want to bring up he has written 6 episodes of Boy Meets World for us. We've seen him before on Singled Out, Chick Like Me, and he'll be around again for The Witches of Pembroke, and there's at least one other one, but we'll get there. So we've seen his work around. He's not a bad writer for us.
Yeah.
The episode itself is originally aired March 21st, 1997. Currently enjoys a 7.3 rating on IMDb. And for our peek at the ratings, our previous episode enjoyed a 15.02 rating. Tyler, how do you think Quiz Show managed to do as we get into this is the first of the last 4 episodes of season 4. How do you think they did?
I'm sorry. I wasn't listening to the numbers. What did you say?
All right. Our last episode, which wrapped up, I believe our last episode wrapped up the February sweeps with Uncle Daddy. Yes, Uncle Daddy wrapped up February sweeps. So we're 3 weeks later. Uncle Daddy was 15.02. How do you think Quiz Show did 3 weeks later? Bearing in mind, Quiz Show is the first of the group of the last 4 episodes of the season. So 15.02, 3 weeks later, how do you think?
There's got to be a drop. I'm going to say 13.5.
There is a drop, a little sharper, 12.68.
Oh, that hurts.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, and I think this is a good time to mention, Brett, but the last episode, Uncle Daddy to Security Guy, is truly what I think should be a 2-parter. And I think that they didn't want to do another official two-parter because they literally just did their first official two-parter.
Hmm.
But really, the story, the way it flows, should be Eric decides he's going to study. He's studying, so he's not paying as much attention to the store. Dad fires him because he's not focused on store. Also, we discover later on that he's not as focused in general at the store. But
Hmm.
like this episode kind of coming in the between those two doesn't make sense.
Well, this one actually is out of order in production order.
Hmm.
This one is supposed to, in production order, this one falls before A Long Walk to Pittsburgh. So this one is actually supposed to be taking place in production order before Topanga gets moved out of Philly.
Hmm.
In production order, security guy, and here's where we really get funky. In production order, we would have, after A Long Walk to Pittsburgh, Uncle Daddy, Cult Fiction, Security Guy, and then Learning to Fly. And
That makes sense.
those would be the 4 that we finish out the season with. But
Yeah.
that's a lot of heavy material to finish out on. So I think they swapped them around so they balanced out with a couple of heavier ones and a couple of lighter ones.
I mean, that does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. From a production standpoint, I think they had the better story through line, but I understand why they swapped them out for their ratings and wanting to balance things out.
You know. Well, I mean, Eric's not really a factor in this episode.
He's really not. He has
Like,
like 3 lines.
say 1 or 2 lines. That's really about
Rocco's a
it.
wallabies. This is stuff I need to know.
Right. I'm pretty sure he's only in the audience. That's it. We don't
Yeah.
go to the Matthewses. No, we go to
Yeah.
the Matthewses for Corey to say, "Hey,
Oh,
I'm on TV."
he's in the tag. He plays the game in the tag too,
Oh,
but that's
that's
it.
okay.
Yeah.
That's true. Gosh, what a weird episode.
He's really just a pod person in this one.
It's really
He's an
true.
NPC.
He's like Morgan in this episode. He's the
He is.
residential Morgan. And where's
Oh,
Morgan?
yeah.
She could have been learning.
She could have been. This could have been a great way to just throw her in for a couple of zingers.
Oh man, what? Okay, just throwing this out there. What if Morgan was the one to say, "Oh my gosh, Corey, you're so smart," and that's the thing that trips Corey up to be like, "Oh, my sister sees what I'm doing, and her goals are now so much lower because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a role model to her." Wow, that could have been something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just say this, Brett. Again, I love this episode. This is a part of
It's a
this
lot of
monster
fun.
in this season where it's just, it's really another banger. It really is, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just missing. It's the same thing we're talking about with
There's
Uncle
just
Daddy.
some
There's just
holes here and there that could have been filled. That's all.
right, and it's like they were so focused on the Shawn thing and the Feeny scene. Like I think they had a desire to have Feeny basically like dress them down,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the thing. And then them also being a part of this television show, and like that's was the conceit of the episode. Um, so I don't know. It's just yes.
Well, let's get into
I don't know how to
it.
describe it other than that, Brad. Yes, but let's start with a new set we've never seen before, the high
Yes.
school quiz show. We have Topanga sitting at the John Adams High area all by herself because the team bus broke down. The team bus carrying 2 other members,
Yeah.
and Topanga was able to. Sean and Corey were able to give her a ride. Don't know why,
But
but
the other
that's
2 had to
the
take
case.
was this a school bus or a city bus? I mean,
I mean, okay, I could see it being a city bus situation.
yeah.
Feeney said, "Get yourself there," and the 2 of them are nerds who don't have friends who have cars, so they had to get a ride.
Mm-hmm.
Although it's already been established, Topanga has a license, so she could have driven herself.
Yeah. But we do see Alan and Amy talk about Cory and Shawn went down to support her. So,
Right.
it's okay they all rode together.
It's the 90s, Brett. You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Yes, so the bus broke down. The team is going to have to forfeit.
Yes, yes. In fact,
My team doesn't know the meaning of the word forfeit.
Yes. Feeny is trying to convince I'm assuming, EP of the show, executive producer, to stop her from
yep.
pulling the plug on their team, maybe having another team in the waiting just in case. But yeah,
Yeah. This
um,
is Susan Calabac. Good,
yes.
strong name. Played by
Mhm.
Nancy Lenahan. First and only time we'll see her on Boy Meets World. 162 acting credits to her
Wow.
name. Yeah. Including Hill Street Blues, Family Ties, The Facts of Life, Newhart, Alf, Night Court, Roseanne, Golden Girls, Seinfeld, anything that was on in through the 80s and early 90s, she was on, including Step by Step,
Step by step, day by day.
Third Rock from the Sun,
We'll make
ER.
it better second time
There
around.
you
I've been
go.
waiting, Brett. I've been waiting for so long.
I have been waiting for a solid week since I put this information in this document for that. ER, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Gilmore Girls, Titus, That 70s Show, Malcolm in the Middle, Catch Me If You Can, the movie with Tom Hanks
Ooh.
and Leonardo DiCaprio. My Name is Earl, How I Met Your Mother, Superstore, The Boys, yes, the Amazon series that is currently running. She's
Ooh.
still acting and
Who who's
more.
she playing
She's
the boys?
I don't remember her IMDb for The Boys. I think I still have that window open. I can actually look. But I mean, she has got she's impressive. I've seen her in a lot of these other roles that I just listed, and she plays Barbara in The Boys.
Ooh.
Um,
So this is a character that was literally just introduced in the last episode. I don't know if you're caught up on the boys yet, but
I am not.
oh, have you? I can't remember. Did we talk about you watching that show?
I am through the first 2 seasons. I have not had time to catch
Oh,
up on season
wait
3
till you
even.
get into the third season, my friend. Oh,
But I've seen Nancy's work through a lot of these roles that I just said, and she's very good across the spectrum. So
mhm.
Boy Meets World was very good to nab her. She does well
Yeah.
within this role.
Well, and good-looking people, I have to say, if you are under the ages of 18, I cannot recommend The Boys to you. Is inappropriate, and no one under who's a teenager should ever watch it. There's bad stuff all throughout it. Very inappropriate. If you're an adult and you're okay with weird things happening on your screen and a really good deep psychological dive into the mind of people who were abused and hurt, this is the show for you. And also superheroes. Um, yes, for younger people, I cannot recommend it, but for any adults out there, oh, it's wonderful. You can handle Game of Thrones, you can handle this show. That's what I'll say.
Never seen a minute of Game of Thrones either.
You're not missing out.
I After the public outcry over the way it ended, I don't feel like I was missing out.
So, do you know what's funny, Brett?
What?
I started watching it as the show was ending. I like how it ended because I was able
Well,
to
hey,
watch
I
it
like how Lost
all the
ended,
way.
so maybe I would like
Yeah,
how it ended.
maybe it's just it makes sense narratively when you watch it all like simultaneously, but when you have time, like it's a thing like okay, well, like Boy Meets World for us, we have an emotional investment in these characters, and
Hmm.
if Boy Meets World ended in a different way, like Cory and Topanga break up, we'd be like, what? Why did we watch this show?
Yeah.
It's just the way that the show ended is able to formally make everything work for us. As we've watched this show many a times over. Um, but for people who were emotionally engaged in the show Game of Thrones and overthought it, and the whole point is, well, who will sit on the Iron Throne? I can understand for those people that were with the show for 9 years,
Mhm.
I think it was, why they'd be upset. But for me, only watching it for like a year or so, I thought it was great.
Yeah, there you go.
I had no emotional attachment. It was
Yeah.
wonderful.
All
Let's
right.
talk about the show we're talking about
Yeah,
now,
so let's
Brett.
talk about Boy Meets World. We're like 30 minutes in, and we're not even out of the teaser here. So let's go.
Yes. Can you tell it's been a while since we've just got the chance to chat about random stuff? So yeah, we the producer lady, I know you said her name, I'm sorry. I'm
Susan.
thinking about Susan. Yes, I was thinking about Barbara from The Boys. So Susan says, "Well, what about these two?" She goes, "Oh, they gave her a ride." They're like, "What school do they go to?" And Phoebe's like, "We quit."
We forfeit.
Yes. And so she's like, "Hey, what school do you go to?" And he goes, "Hey," it's like, "What's the guy, the head?" "Oh, the head guy? Yeah, that's
In the
John
hallway.
Adams."
We go to John Adams Head High School.
So yes, they get on makeup and now they're participating in high school quiz show.
Yes, and we get to see a familiar face, at least to the show. Milton is played by Phil Leeds. This is the second time we'll see him. We last saw him in You Can Go Home Again to kick off
Hmm.
this season. If
And we'll
you
see him
don't
again.
remember Good Looking People, he was the guy that got stuck in town, and he was only how many hours from home was it, Tyler?
I think it was like 40 minutes away from home.
Yeah,
I can't
eating
remember.
some pie with Tyler, or with Tyler, with Corey. He could use a good nurse, though. Uh, I don't know if this is the same character, but they do share the same name. So
Yeah, let's
we'll
see.
see
So,
him again in How to Succeed in Business. And as I mentioned, he did pass away in 98, so he's no longer with us.
hmm
And we're also going to meet Arthur Candib, PhD, who
yeah, PhD.
hosts.
I noticed that today.
Yeah. Played by Steve Gilborn. First and only time we'll see him on Boy Meets World. 117 acting credits to his name, including Who's the Boss, The Wonder Years, Law and Order, Perfect Strangers, The Golden Girls, Murphy Brown, The Torkelsons, where he would have crossed over with Minkus, L.A. Law,
Nice.
Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, Dunstan Checks In, ER, News Radio, Malcolm in the Middle, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, NYPD Blue, and tons of others. He also has passed away back in 2009, so he is no longer with us either.
Well, we see that John Adams High crew is able to get a point on the Hamilton High crew. And
We're up
Corey and
with
Shawn are
20.
so excited, and we realize that they get 1 point, and the other team is up by 20 points.
He said
To
fertile.
which to which Topanga says, "Stop randomly hitting the buzzer. Just because you like the sound doesn't mean it helps." So my assumption then, Brett, is that I don't know. Maybe the way this game works is if you buzz in, don't get it right, they get to steal. They get an extra point or whatever.
Uh,
Um,
My assumption it's kind of like Family Feud. If you steal, you get the points. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
So
buzz
it
in, don't
seems
get the answer.
like
Yeah.
they Topanga before she gets to hit, Corey or Sean will hit it first and
Because
be
they like
so
the way it sounds.
excited. So it's like this might be the first time she got to buzz in the whole time.
That's the only reason I can explain that they're down 20-1.
Hmm. Yeah,
We will
so
not be denied.
yeah, so it's weird because Corey and Sean are not acting the way you would think that most people would act on a academic show, say like a Jeopardy type show.
Yeah,
They're kind of
let's
sorry.
figure this out now. Is this public access like they were in season 3 with Eli's class? You know, anyone can get a show on here, like a PBS type of thing, because this is sponsored by the World of Knowledge at this point, or is this an actual network produced show?
That's what I couldn't figure out myself, Brett. Like, there's a part of me that wonder if it was kind of like a Philly station type public access potentially.
Yeah, because they're
But
filming in a TV studio either way.
right, they're
But
filming in a TV studio either way, and there could be a sponsor for that. But
mhm.
there's also the part of me, Brett, too, that's like, if you have teenagers coming, they have to have a reason for it. It can't just be a you get to be on TV and you get to show how smart you are, there's got to be something that they actually win. There's something they're competing for. So,
Hmm.
are they competing for a scholarship? They never really say anything, or
Yeah.
money towards a scholarship is what
Yeah,
I
we
was
just
thinking
we
about.
just have an ongoing battle of schools in the area for what we
Right.
can
But
figure.
Amy makes it sound like she watched this show when she was in high school.
Yeah,
So
it's
there's a
been
part of me,
on for 36 years, we're told on screen.
right? So I wonder if it is like a Philly affiliated, like Fox or ABC or NBC, or what would be like a CW show, maybe something like that, where
Hmm.
each location gets so much time to do their own local stuff is what I'm thinking about. So
Hmm. Yeah.
who's to say?
It can't be very long. They have 2 rounds and they're 1 question each later on.
It's okay. It feels okay. Maybe that's the thing. Is this feels like an SNL skit size of rounds? Like SNL has time for like 2 or 3 jokes, and then it's well, come on back next time. And it's like we just
This
came
is
into the
Celebrity
episode.
Jeopardy. But I mean, here we have 20-1. They had to have been asked a minimum of 10 questions there
Had to
because
have.
the points are worth these questions are worth 1 point each. So I'm saying they were asked 21 questions this round because in the next round they're worth a whole 2 points.
Yeah.
I mean, even the intro and outro music is so dull.
No one's watching, Brett. No one is watching.
No one. It blows me away that their audience is as packed as it is.
Yeah, it kind of is. Well, I mean, like I know that for certain shows like this that have been on, a lot of times the audience is people from the school,
Mm-hmm.
but like Corey and
How'd they
Shawn
get
wouldn't be
there and
cheering
their
from their
team didn't?
school. How did the school get there? Maybe it's Adam. It's the Hamilton
Oh
crew. They're
man,
so
it's
happy
all
that
Hamilton High kids.
yeah, they're the ones that love Corey and Shawn potentially.
Yeah,
Although later on in the episode, Corey and Shawn are signing autographs in history class, so who knows, Brad?
I
This
don't
is
know.
this is a chaotic episode, and I don't know how to talk about it.
Well, let's talk about Mr. Feeney wanting to make an on-air apology.
Yes, Feeney's like, let me go on and let me apologize, and they're like, no, in fact, we have new questions for them. And Topanga just got done saying, stop just buzzing in, and then oh, where is it?
We get the questions because we get a new potential influx of cash from this potential sponsor, Brett
Yes.
McInerney, McInerney, McInerney. Yes, I'm reading as it's spelled.
Go for it.
McInerney, played by Mark DiCarlo. First and only
Mhm.
time we'll see him on Boy Meets World. Only 91 acting credits to his name, not as many as the
Only.
other 2. But we see him on shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Matlock, Seinfeld, Rugrats, Real Monsters. Yeah, he's done some voice acting. If
I
you're a Jimmy Neutron fan, he is the voice of Hugh Neutron.
hmm,
Malcolm in the Middle, Family Guy, The Middle, Lucifer. Yes, Malcolm in the Middle and The Middle, Lucifer, The Rookie, and more. Still
hmm,
acting these days, so you might
very
recognize
nice.
him if you watch any modern TV.
Yeah. Brett, let me ask you a question. Let's say this is a "What's up" question.
All right.
Uh, what does the X in X-Men stand for?
Well, I wouldn't be as eloquent as Shawn was, but he nailed it. It is the X factor in a human's genes that sets them apart from Homo sapien and it sets them into the Homo superior strata. And that X factor in their genes would develop into a power of sorts, be
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
telekinesis, concussive optic blasts, uh, telepathy, and of course, it does have the humorous. Eh, I'm not sure how to call it. I'm not sure the word I'm looking for is, but it's just a coincidence that it does run very close to, yes, the X at the beginning of Professor Xavier's name.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, Brett, let me ask you a question. In the 90s, do you think that some, let's just say nerds, people that, you know, are smart and get good grades, do you think that they would be stumped by this question?
Not real nerds. Real nerds would have been all over it.
Right. Tha- that's okay. I guess maybe this is my problem in the transition is like, what questions were they asking that were so intense? Because even Jeopardy will have a thing that's like pop culture from the comics,
Mhm,
or like, you know, movies that are 10 years old, like those type of random things. Sports of today, sports of the past, it's not always just like name this geographical thing or name, these what happened in 1855. So I guess my problem is that like why wasn't there a pop culture element to this show anyway?
mhm,
Because eventually, what does pop culture become? It just becomes history.
mhm.
We study people's pop culture, that stuff that people wrote about, and then we, interpret it as history. And someday people will go, "Oh yes, the X-Men," and there'll be all this stuff about the X-Men that people will talk about, and that's going to be part of history. People do that today. There are colleges that study things like, you know, origins of superheroes, vampires, all sorts of stuff that is important to understand of how to tell a story.
Mhm.
So why comic book nerds or just straight up nerds back in the day wouldn't understand what the X-Men is bonkers to me.
Yeah. And the only reason I can think of is that the writing was trying to take that nerd role because in 1997, the X-Men cartoon, which had been a massive success from 1992 to 1996. I mean, it was so big that they were going to end it a year before it actually did. They were done telling stories, and the studio said, no, no, we want more.
Hmm.
But it had been such a part of the zeitgeist that these are, Cory and Shawn were kids who would have grown up watching it, and the cool kids would have grown up watching it.
Hmm.
And so the only thing I can think of is that they're still stuck in this mindset of any nerd on our show is a Minkus type nerd. Any
Hmm.
smart kid on our show is a Minkus type nerd,
Hmm.
smart kid. And so they're just stuck in that type of writing that this is the stereotype we're going to do. And X-Men are still enough popularity in the zeitgeist that they're cool. And notice they went with X-Men. They didn't go
Hmm.
with a Superman type of thing, a Captain America, Iron Man. None, Iron Man and Fantastic Four had animated series around
Not
this
as
time a few
popular.
years before, nowhere near as popular. Batman, the animated series, was there a few years before, around the same time as the X-Men, but it didn't, for whatever reason. Disney was not able to latch onto that one for whatever reason, for copyright,
Hmm.
I'm sure. Um, Warner Brothers wouldn't let them do that. But somehow the writers said, okay, we're going to stick with the X-Men stuff.
Yeah,
Turner
I mean,
already mentioned it in his first day in class, so he already knows. Writers say, all right, we'll go with the X-Men.
well, and I'll say too, Brett, we're still stuck in this mindset, and I guess I'll say it's people who grew up, say, in the 80s when bullies were bullies and bullies were jocks, and that's the way things are. Football players can do whatever they feel like, and the nerdy people are so nerdy and they can't have anything that the popular kids are all about. And it's stuck in that mindset that when I watch a show, either a new show or a movie, and I can go, your experience in high school is nowhere near what my experience and what the youth of today's experience is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ridiculous because, again, Brett, jocks are not goons. and they like these type of things. I remember we were in football. We would sit there and be like, "Did you watch this movie? Did you watch that movie?" Meaning, "Did you watch Iron Man?" "Yeah, I watched Iron Man." "Oh, did you see The Dark Knight?" "Not yet." "Oh man, Dark Knight's so good." You can be
Hmm.
both a nerd and a jock. You can get really deep into all sorts of thing, everybody. You don't have to allow the old mindset of boomers to get in the way.
1997 was still pretty compartmentalized.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I partially I'm doing this rant, Brett, because my wife needed me to do so. She forced me to say it, so I think I've done my job.
All right. I'm more confused by what Brett was doing walking through this studio that's always been dead. I mean, he's looking for new potential sponsorships, or would he just take a wrong turn?
I mean, yeah, you almost get the feeling like he heard some noise and he never hears noise that way and thought, I should find out what's going on over there.
Wonder what's going on. Yeah. We sell
Yeah,
stuff to make kids' faces cleaner.
yeah,
I hear kids screaming.
whatever. So yes, but we transition to the Matthews household for about 5 seconds where Corey walks in and says, I'm smart now.
Don't they ask really hard questions on that show?
Oh, maybe for you.
Oh, finally someone understands my particular genius.
Yes. And I just love how confused they are. And I love how when they go to the actual recording, they're like, why is
I have
Corey? Okay,
I
go
have a
ahead.
clip. Yes.
I used to watch High School Quiz Show when I was a kid. I remember all the contestants were really smart.
Are you asking me why Cory is on this show?
Yeah.
George?
We live in a random and chaotic universe.
It's Knowledge Fever with the Knowledge Fever brain cell dancers, your humble announcer Milton Front, and your host, Sweet Artie K.
Okay, then. Welcome to the show that makes learning hip, hot, and happening. Oahu Beach Face Savers presents Knowledge Fever.
Okay, this is my favorite iteration of the show,
Yes.
personally. I just love it coming out and trying to dance and trying to be all hip and cool. And
Oh, Phil with the lay on and Artie with hip, hot, and happening, trying so hard to be hip. And he just, I have it in my notes. Arthur is not hip,
no,
but he's got the leather jacket on.
he's
got
trying. He's trying real
Knowledge
hard.
Fever. We've rebranded.
Yes. Okay, Brett, let's just for 2 seconds let's have this conversation that we need to have.
All right.
Most of these shows will record multiple episodes in a day.
Yeah.
They have a half-hour chunk of actual show. They'll record and film roughly 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. None of them are live.
Yeah, none of them are live, and their champions will be there like for that one day, and then if they win again, then they'll be asked to come back. But it feels like the show is telling us that they record one episode, it's live, and then you have to come back the next day. Which what show could run that long on that type of a production schedule and be able to survive?
Mm.
Because again, Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Jeopardy records multiple episodes in a day.
Mhm. Yeah. Family Feud, same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Every single time when it's a show that is, a one-time winner of that each episode, it's multiples they record in a day. They have people go change so that way they're not wearing the same clothes. But it's, again,
Mhm.
you're making it seem like in a week, Cory and Shawn and Topanga are constantly coming in to record this thing, and then missing
Yeah.
school.
The heightened reality of Boy Meets World. In their universe, it's one a day or one a week. You come back next week. Maybe it's live. Maybe it's edited. Who knows?
It slightly bothers me. It irks me, Brett, in a way that I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and the transition also of they're on one day and then they're literally going to
We have to have spanned an entire week, because there's no way they recorded another episode the next day and had all this rebranding done in a 24-hour period.
Well, okay, if this is a once a week show, maybe that's a way to do all this too.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's a format that is for a week, every single weekday. So I don't know. I don't get it. It's kind of annoying me. It bothers me, but not Brett as much as Shawn not allowing him to finish the question first.
Baywatch, or lifeguards of Baywatch. There's a lot of
Yes.
lifeguards on Baywatch.
Yeah, I can't believe
Now,
this
granted,
got on the first one.
Pamela
For 1 million
Anderson-
points, Brett.
Yeah, 1 million. We're one iteration newer from High School Quiz Show, and we've gone from 1 point and 2 points to 1 million points.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone past tens and hundreds and thousands. We're up to 1 million points already.
It's like in Monopoly when you look at the old money and it's just $1, $5, $10, and the new money that's like 1 million, 5 million, 10 million. It's like,
Yeah,
I get
it's like
inflation,
Who's
but why?
Line. The
Points
don't matter.
Except when you're crushing everyone in Monopoly, and then you want them to know that you have all the cash.
Oh yes.
Yes, but this is also the first time we get to meet members of Einstein Academy.
Or, three smart kids from some other school.
I almost wonder if they didn't want to come up with another high school, so they just went with Einstein Academy. But
Yeah.
we will see Einstein Academy in a future version in New York City as well.
Mm-hmm. Very popular charter school.
Yes. Yeah. So this episode, or this segment of the TV show that they're on, ends with them trying to give cues for Shawn to show his lips a little bit more, and for Cory to think a little bit and give a face. Apparently, that's his eating cake face, is what
Guess.
it's been referred to, and for Topanga to play with her hair a little bit.
Because Topanga is our queen.
Yes, Topanga is our queen. A little creepy. Again, she's in high school.
It's been one episode.
Yes, one episode. She is the queen, and a lot of creepiness in this whole situation.
Yes.
But they have a question about Ren and Stimpy, which again is kind of ridiculous.
Mm.
And yes, I love Rocco's a wallaby.
See, these are things I need to know.
Yes.
And now Alan knows who they're actually marketing to.
Mm-hmm.
I love the shot as they're kind of showing the audience as the episode they're recording ends, and Alan's just got his head in his hands. Feeny's sitting there, arms crossed, kind of very perturbed, and Alan's head in his hands is like, okay, yep,
Feeny
we know what
very
it is.
annoyed.
Yeah.
We return, though, Brett, finally to the school, John Adams High, the place with the guy with the head.
John Adams Head High School.
Yes, John Adams Head High School. Do you have Feeny's speech, by the way?
I do indeed.
I had a feeling. I'll set it up for us, though. Cory and Shawn are interrupting the lesson because they're signing autographs, apparently.
Yes, they're holding a press junket.
Yes, they have headshots of themselves. Which I just wonder if they were just their actual headshots.
They have to be their actual headshots.
Because they're very much professionally done.
Yes.
And so, yes, Feeny's annoyed, and they're trying to cut back of, hey, we're champions. We're your champions. And, we're making sure people know stuff. And Topanga tries to justify, saying, I did answer a real question.
Mhm.
And I love that Mr. Feeney is trying to communicate to her of like, I know that you have the ability to be on that show, the original show against anyone.
Mhm. Yep.
And he's just so disappointed.
He is, because the show is turned into a clown car, and these three are turned into a circus, and these three are driving the clown car, the tiny car.
Hmm.
But they get so defensive about it, and that's just kind of where he goes off. And this is the clip.
Champions of what, Mr. Matthews? Of a generation whose verbal and mathematical skills have sunk so low when you have the highest level of technology at your fingertips? Gutenberg's generation thirsted for a new book every 6 months. Your generation gets a new web page every 6 seconds. And how do you use this technology? To beat King Koopa and save the princess. Shame on you. You deserve what you get. Sit down. Stay where you are. For the first time, I choose to walk out on you.
It is not often we see Mr. Feeney that upset with his students. But and this holds so true today, even more so today. I mean, in 1997, good looking people, if you weren't around in 1997, the internet was so amazing. New web page every 6 seconds. And granted, a lot of those web pages were crap. We laughed at a lot of those pages. Some of us made a lot of those pages. They were Zangas, they were GeoCities pages. Some of them might still be around if you look hard enough. But we would get, you get in 1987, you get a new web page every 6 seconds. There is the proliferation of access to all of this information and the ability to improve, the possibilities to self-improvement, to knowledge, to gain all of this. And what does Mr. Feeney see that the generation is doing with it? At least within the realm of what he's seen before him, what he's seen High School Quiz Show, which for 36 years has been about the pinnacle of taking history and knowledge and math and all of this and being able to say, this is the pinnacle. This is what we can show you. And now all of a sudden it's about what's cool, what's happening, what's the latest, that really most of this probably won't stand the test of time. And now you advance us another 30 years. I can't tell you how many websites, how many new social media profiles, how many new startups we have every 6 seconds. We have even more access to information and disinformation and potentials for education and learning and advancement, and our attention spans have shortened by a buttload. Our ability to determine fact from fiction has lessened. Our willingness to promote truth over fiction has lessened. Our desire to learn over be entertained for a lot of people has shrunk. And when we take what we have today and compare it to a society that just yearn for a new book every 6 months to read, to enjoy, to learn from, to grow with, and what we have today, and how we, not everyone, I mean, not condemning anyone for using some of that time for entertainment, whatever, but the access we have now compared to what it was available then, a lot of us squander so much potential with what we have now. I get Mr. Feeney in this moment. I got him then. I got him 10 years after that. I got him 20 years after that. I totally get him now, especially with a 10-year-old who is teetering on an electronic addiction. I get him with a 15-year-old who could potentially get crippled by a cell phone addiction. I get him with a 17-year-old, almost 17-year-old, who could very easily fall into the trap of just not wanting to do anything with all of this. Our 10-year-old just rediscovered this summer that he likes to read. Before it was just YouTube, games, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Limit all that stuff. He actually likes to read. I get Mr. Feeny in this moment. Soapbox gone.
Well, and the other part of this, Brett, is, to me, this is a amalgamation of the pilot episode where Feeny says, "I'm going to teach you something," and that passion he has is it's still in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Combine that with Father Knows Less, when he calmly and kind of brokenheartedly explains to Cory about his childhood and mourning for
Mm-hmm.
the fact that his father, Cory's father, actually wants to spend time with him.
Mm-hmm.
And this great moment he wanted to share with his father, and his father said simply no. So you have an individual who grew up in literally the worst time possible, a time when the whole world was kind of shut down and everyone was off to war and pride of the nation, and you make sacrifices for the troops, and any other propaganda that people spoke back then. And Feeney grows up, decides he wants to be a teacher, and he said last season, with every passing year, I notice a decline in respect, a decline in people that want to learn, a decline in, the people I can count on my hands who actually thirst for knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, I think this whole frustration that he comes to is potentially even, you're the three I stuck around for because I thought
Mm-hmm.
you three understood and were going to challenge me as a teacher, and you have proven to me that I was wrong. I think
Yeah.
Topanga, because she allowed herself to dumb herself down, to allow herself to be an object. For Cory, the fact that he's not the fact that Cory does not want to show that he does actually understand, he does pay attention, he does study, and he is only allowing himself to be that cool guy who isn't a nerd, and just for Shawn for not trying.
Mm-hmm.
And he's seen glimpses for all three of them of who they could possibly be, and in this moment, these three have let him down.
Yep.
So this is probably one of my favorite, probably top 5 Feeny teaching moments.
Yeah. It's up there.
Yeah, it's terrific. I mean, it really can apply to every single generation. Every single
Mm-hmm.
generation is getting closer and getting better technology constantly. And, unfortunately, the more we depend as a culture on social media, being online, and things like TikTok, the less that we are consuming knowledge. I'll even say for myself, when I do the deep dives at the end of the episode, I can't remember almost any of them by the time we're done. And it's only really the first, I don't know, handful of episodes that I can literally sit back and go, I learned specifically for this and I remember these things. But you asked me, 10 episodes ago, name me the deep dives. I can't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just part of how we learn and get information. And it's sad
It is.
because it's not just about the young teens, it's also about us adults. And even now, the 80-year-olds who can be addicted to their phones and social media.
Yep.
A lot of papaws out there that's waste many hours being on their computer way too late at night, getting into Facebook arguments.
Yep.
So, since we matched the show's dark tone, let's get to
That's cool.
that's cool. With our latest host, Kiki.
Kiki, played by Gina Mari. First and only time we'll see her on Boy Meets World.
A shame.
24 acting credits. By the way, Gina is just as known in Hollywood for her stunt work as she is for her acting. But her acting showed up on shows like Renegade, Just Shoot Me, Ellen, in the movie A Night at the Roxbury, Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, Nash Bridges, and others. But really focused more on stunt work more than her acting. And that's really what she's more known for. But did a good job here.
Yeah. She's terrific. I'm sure if she interacted with Eric, they would have had great chemistry as well.
Probably.
That's my running bit for this season, Brett, and I'm sticking to it.
Figure out how to put that on a shirt. We'll put it.
They introduce not Cory, Shawn, Topanga. They introduce the characters of Lips, Hair, and Brainiac.
Brainiac 14 for some reason.
Yeah.
He's 16, so it's not his age.
Uh-huh.
And, okay, be ultra nerdy for a minute here. Brainiac 13 is a legitimate character in the DC Comics canon from the 30th century. So I don't know why they went with 14.
I don't know.
Yes,
but we see again competitors from Einstein Academy.
Yes.
And they talk about the moon, Brett. How much does the moon weigh? Where is the moon?
Yes.
And
yeah, I was actually kind of impressed with the question because it's an amusing mislead. Kiki actually provides educational information about the moon being the only natural satellite, talks through lunar phases, how long they are, gives a couple examples. This is actually real educational content.
Mm-hmm.
And then it veers off into ridiculousness with where is it?
And they just simply point up into the sky and they go, yeah. And of course, then they go to Einstein asking, how much does it weigh? And they give 8.1 million tons. She goes, I'm sure it is.
But not the answer we're looking for.
Uh-huh. And apparently it weighs nothing, according to Shawn, because if it did, it would fall
on us and crush us. Yeah.
And because they got it wrong, audience,
Samoans. Not culturally insensitive at all. I'm sitting there watching. Admittedly, it's been some time since my last full watch through, and since I had seen this episode in total, and I'm sitting there not last night, last week, the first time I'd watched it, and I'm sitting there and got to this part, I'm like, oh yeah, not aging well.
Not great. Not great.
Not great, Bob.
No. But they do the song of hoo ha. Now that's cool. Hoo ha. That is cool.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
And they're out, Brett.
Yes. Big news for John Adams Head High School, though.
Mm-hmm. But apparently, they're looking for a 6-week commitment from Cory, Shawn, and Topanga to go to Columbus.
Columbus, Oahu.
Oahu.
Oh, Shawn and your geography.
Yes. And so, and that's also now the thing for me, Brett, of like, okay, so this show's getting ratings and potentially getting more advertiser dollars.
And it's expanded into I would assume 4 more markets since it's reaching 4 times more teenagers than before.
Right. So if you're going on location to Oahu, you, how do you do that? Because like you could do that with actual students from there, because there are students
Hmm.
there, but they're trying to thrust Cory, Shawn, and Topanga as like their key, like they have this thing that's what they're going to capitalize.
Hmm. Yeah, logistically, it doesn't make sense to take a regional show that's in maybe 5 markets on the East Coast. I know your sponsor is Oahu Beach face saver pads, but logistically and realistically, it doesn't make sense to take this regional show and go spend 6 weeks in Oahu off the West Coast. It's not a sound business move, is what it isn't. It would make more sense to start up a show out there.
Yeah, just call it the Untitled Ben Savage Show.
Yeah. And on top of that, there's no way that Alan and Amy would give Cory the go ahead to go spend 6 weeks and miss school this close to the end of the school year anyway.
Hmm.
And
And
I don't see Topanga's aunt giving the go ahead.
yeah, but I mean, their parents would have if that's the ones who are okay with all this too.
Yeah. And granted, the time this episode should have run, her parents were still in the picture. But
Hmm.
since it aired this
But
time, it's her aunt.
they're pressuring them by saying that they are scholastic role models for millions of kids out there.
Hmm.
Brett, are you telling me that there are millions, like Nelson rating millions of people watching this crappy broadcast, and then even more millions are now watching them?
In 5 markets, maybe you could find 1.5 million in 5 markets,
Right.
but you can't guarantee they're all watching.
Yeah. And yes, that's all part of the logistics annoyance that we have currently.
I mean, granted, he's trying to really sell it to him there.
That's true. Um maybe that's part also that bothers me too, Brett, is like we go from it looking like a PBS, like public access type little broadcast to it looks like Singled Out from a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it really does.
Like it looks like they brought someone in from California to be all of these to do their job, which why would the show not just be in California?
Now, see, I've got a secret headcanon here that what Brett really wanted to do. This is really odd talking about a character with my name, but I try
Yep.
it. We'll find a character named Tyler, and you start talking about it. But what Brett was really trying to do is he wanted to move the show.
Sorry.
He
The way
wanted to
you
move
said
the
that.
show to Oahu.
Uh-huh.
And he just wanted these 3 there to get it started and maybe pull in some satellite dish ratings
Mm-hmm.
and try and hit with some built-in audience and then just kick him to the curb after 3 weeks and send him back
Yeah.
home.
But I mean, again, if this is run like a regular show, they easily could have been eliminated. Like they could have done all of what you just said in a few weeks, them be there for like say a week, gotten like I don't know, 3 weeks worth of 4 or 5 weeks worth of content out of them, and then brought in the California people like they do in a little bit anyway.
Oh, easily.
Because right now it seems like they've only been on like 4 or 5 episodes within a month. I don't know. I don't
Mhm.
understand.
Time has no meaning in this episode.
I know.
I can't tell which way is up. We have seen 3 different versions of this show. 1, 2, 3. We will see 3 different versions of the show, 4 total episodes, and like 6 questions answered.
Hmm.
So at minimum, the way that that's framed, This episode takes place over 5 weeks of time.
Yep. Okay.
I got no clue.
But Brett, does it not bother you that for round 2 they have to be in their bathing suits?
I have a note here that round 2 is high schoolers in swimsuits with a big question mark. I find that quite cringeworthy.
Yeah. I mean, if they want this to be a college show, I don't like it, but I understand it.
Yes, but juniors in high school, yes, that's a problem.
That's a big problem.
These kids are very clearly only 16 as of 4 or 5 episodes ago.
Yes. Oh god.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Anywho, so we get to maybe my second favorite moment of the episode. Or third, I can't keep track. This is a good, solid episode with moments. It's just logistical problems we have.
It's. I'll describe it at the end, though. Go ahead. I clipped
This is class
Cory's
pre-union
entire
all over for me, Brett,
conversation.
okay? This is class pre-union all over for me.
I did clip Cory's entire conversation of defense with Feeny.
Terrific. I do like he greets him as Mr. Feeny, Mr. Brainiac.
Mr. Brainiac, I suppose it's too much to hope that you've prepared for tomorrow's class?
Gutenberg invented his printing press in 1450 and made knowledge available to the mass culture who could now communicate about shared literary experiences. Please don't tell anyone I know that.
Cory's ashamed that he knows the information.
Yes, that's something that bothers me about this episode, Brett, because it really does feel like Cory doesn't want people to know that he actually is putting forth effort. Cory actually understands some of the stuff, and he tries.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like he doesn't want anyone, maybe Shawn, to know that he actually puts forth effort now.
Mm-hmm.
Disappointing.
Yeah, very.
Is what it is.
And we're still on Gutenberg from like 3 weeks ago. So this is we must have started at the beginning of this historical period Feeny's teaching on.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know, Brett. I don't know. I don't know.
I will say I would not mind having one of those brain hats.
Yes, it does look really fun.
Yes. And then we get an outrageous star demand.
Outrageous star demand?
Outrageous star demand from the
yes, because they were talking to them about maybe you throw us a couple harder questions, and they decide to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But they also introduce, instead of Einstein Academy students, it's random students from
Malibu, California. Yeah,
Viper,
I remember
Surfer Girl, and Moon Doggy.
Yes, that crowd is fickle when these other kids show up, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking off brain hats and cheering for the challengers they've just been introduced to. And and the rules change, apparently. All of a sudden, I mean, we get Brett and we get Brett and Susan
no rules,
talking
Brett.
over on this.
There's no rules. That's
well,
what
we
we
get
need
Brett
to
and Susan talking over on the side. Do you care who wins or loses? Brett's like, good kids, good looking kids going up against good looking kids. I don't care.
This is good TV.
It's good TV. And the rules, these I can't keep track of the points with each iteration because apparently all of a sudden, if you miss the question, the other team automatically gets the points instead of having to answer the question. And only one team member can answer a question now. It's not the entire team. And Shawn gets the Gutenberg question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could understand in a scenario where it's, okay, in this round, you can work as a team. In future rounds, we're asking individual players. It could make sense if that's the name of the game. However, from each iteration we've seen, there is no logistical through line.
Yeah. I'm going to assume we're in round 3 since we're not in swimsuits in this round.
Yes. But I love that you see that Cory and Topanga kind of give each other a look of like, he doesn't know it.
They're kind of willing him the information because he was in class with them that day. They know it. They know he was with them, and he doesn't know it. I don't know anything. I'm just cute and fun to watch.
Yeah. I love that honesty out of Shawn. And then we get to probably what is actually the best moment of the episode, where the three of them are sitting there early, waiting for them to take their test. And Shawn raises his hand and tells him who Gutenberg is, and he invented the printing press, and says the year. And
I believe I taught you that, Mr. Hunter.
I just feel like this is a moment for him to breathe. Like throughout the whole week to 3 months or however long this period of time is, you know, they're getting it. They understand what happened to them, and this is their way to atone for that.
Yeah, and Cory raising his hand and asking, "Can you teach us something else?" They've realized their folly, and they've come back, and they want Mr. Feeny to teach them what's important.
Yeah, it is a great moment.
Yeah,
but then we get to the tag, Brett.
I did actually clip the whole tag
version of.
It's only like 40 seconds, so I clipped the whole tag.
Oh, good. Go ahead.
It's too bad we lost.
Hey, at least we got this lovely home version of the show. Wait a second, where are the dancers?
No, they couldn't get him into the box, honey.
Okay, I'll be Kiki. Aloha! For a zillion points. Milk. Where does it come from?
Cows?
Is right, but not the answer we're looking for. Boys?
A carton.
More specific.
A milk carton.
Ding, 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 ding!
Yeah! Kids win, parents lose. You know what that means. Samoans!
Boy meets world. Boy meets world.
Boy meets world. Yeah. Doesn't age well, but I still laugh.
Yeah.
There's pointy sticks.
Any chance that at least those actors were Samoan, Brett?
I don't honestly know. I'm not an expert when it comes to ethnicities. Honestly, I'm bringing up a screenshot as I'm looking. And just based on, granted, these are not high-res images I'm able to grab, but no. I'd say it's a possibility. It's a possibility that they could at least be Polynesian, a couple of them. Probably not all of them.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet on ABC's budget they weren't all four Samoan, but it's possible one or two could have been.
That's understandable.
It was Brett, 1997. Good looking people.
That is our complicated episode.
Yes. So Tyler, let's get into some deep dives.
People. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
I'm just going to go with Gutenberg. I can't say his first name. It confuses me. Gutenberg, born in 1393, passed away in 1406 in Mainz Holy Roman Empire, now Germany. Was an inventor and a craftsman. Let's see. Printing. Hot biscuits. All right. Invented the movable printing press. The movable type was already in use in East Asia. Gutenberg invented the printing press, enabling a much faster rate of printing. The printing press later spread across the world and led to the information revolution. The unprecedented mass spread of literature throughout Europe, it had a profound impact on the development of the Renaissance, Reformation, and human movements. Sorry. It was invented in 1440. 1440. So, pretty big deal. I get Feeney's frustration. Also, I love that they're talking about this because this is not really the history that normally gets discussed when talking about world and, that type of history. Let's see. The moon is, in fact, the, what do they say, 81 million pounds. Or, no, sorry, million tons. Or 81 to the 10th of 19 tons. 200 or 2,159 miles in diameter. Let's see. Get back to the other things. The Tigris and Euphrates River System. Tigris and Euphrates River System is a large river system in the Western Asia that discharges into the Persian Gulf. Its principal rivers are the Tigris and the Euphrates, along with smaller tributaries.
He said fertile.
Topanga holds her hat on that one answer.
Yes.
All right, so I have a list of some of the best teen and kids competition shows. And where, oh where? Okay, so this is from Collider. The number one best TV competition shows for teenagers / kids is apparently a show called Guts from Nickelodeon. No idea.
Do you have it, Guts? I used to watch that.
So apparently you were aware of that one.
Yeah.
As before my time. I do know this one, Legend of the Hidden Temple from 1993 to 1995.
I was like
Nickelodeon.
Silver Monkeys.
Yes. They did try to do a revival. It did not work. Double Dare, 1996 to 1993. Again, Nickelodeon. Let's see. Jeopardy Teens Tournament from 1987 to present day. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego from 1991 to 1995. PBS.
Rockapella.
Where in the world is
Carmen Sandiego?
All right. And then Nick Arcade from apparently January to November 1992. Also Nickelodeon. Apparently at one point Nickelodeon was only just a bunch of kids TV competitions. Yes. I have 15, but I'm only going through the ones right now, trying to see outside of the top 6 of ones I recognize. And gotta be honest with you, I don't recognize many of them. Okay, we're getting out of that. I'm not a huge fan of their website, the way it's designed, and trying to get through information. So, I will say a little more information on Double Dare, American game show in which 2 teams compete to win cash and prizes by answering trivia questions and completing messy stunts known as physical challenge originally ran from 1986 to 1993. There was a revival in the 2000s, and most recently, revival ran from 2018 to 2019. I bring this up, Brett, because the original city that this show was filmed in was.
Say it again. I was looking at something else.
That's okay. The original city this show was filmed in was.
Which show are we talking about? Are we
Double
talking about
Dare.
Boy Meets Double Dare? Orlando, I believe.
No, Philadelphia.
Oh, I did not realize that.
1996, 1998, it was Philadelphia. Apparently, it spent 1 year, 1997, in New York, but then it did go from 1989 to 1993, and then 2000s into Florida, and then the last one was in California. So that's the only reason I brought it up, because it originally started in Philadelphia, which I think is cool.
Very nice. Yeah, I was double checking something because I was making sure that I wasn't misremembering something. The host of Guts was Mike O'Malley.
All right, so just some general statistics about websites right now, Brett. There are about 1.09 billion, with a B, websites on the internet in 2024. A new website is built every 3 seconds. 71% of businesses have a website in 2023. 29% of businesses is conducted online. 43% of small businesses plan to invest in their website performance. 21% of business owners report low website traffic issues with their website. The average click-through rate is 6.64% across all industries. User forms an opinion about a website in 0.05 seconds. Yes. A staggering 92% of global traffic comes from Google. Google is the most visited website with 85.1 billion visitors. YouTube is the second most viewed site with over 33 billion visitors. Those that are there right now watching us, thank you. In North America, 45% of web traffic comes from mobile devices. The average average conversion rate of e-commercial websites is between 1.84% and 3.71%. I have no idea what that means. 47% of users won't wait longer than 2 seconds for a website to load. I get that fully. 40% of users will leave a website if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. Websites that load slowly cost retailers $2.6 billion in sales each year. Website users spend on average 5.59 seconds looking at a written content on a site. Website users spend on average 6.44 seconds focused on the main navigation menu. The average time spent on a page is 54 seconds. Including videos on websites can increase time spent on page by 88%. The average time spent on a page with a video is 6 minutes. 88% of online users won't return to a website after a bad experience. I fully believe that. The average bounce rate is between 41 and 55%. 61% say that if they don't find what they're looking for within 5 seconds, they'll go to another site. And finally, as of the fourth quarter of 2023, 54% of all web traffic came through mobile phones. Wow, there are still more statistics, but I am going to leave it at that. So, I want to end, Brett, with a small discussion, if that's okay, on
Sure.
uh, child actors slash children who go on to game shows and competition shows and also reality shows.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a principle. Uh, okay, there's a principle called Coogan Law. It's based on a actor named Jackie Coogan, uh, who passed away in 1939. Uh, I believe it was a she. Was a kid actor and made several movies as a child, and then when they became an adult, found out that there was no money for them because their parents spent it all. So a law was put into place primarily in LA, but also includes New York, Illinois, Louisiana, New Mexico, um, where basically, if you have a child on a television show, a certain percentage has to be set aside for them that the parents do not have access to. It is their own little account set aside that they will be able to go to once they become of age. Now, I bring this up because in reality TV show like competitions, that's not really a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, it came out a few months ago that the young lady that was once referenced as Honey Boo Boo discovered that her all of her reality TV stuff she's done, which essentially she's been on reality TV since she was about 4 years old, starting with Dance Moms and then also going to the Honey Boo Boo show. All of the money that this young lady has made over that time has basically been squandered by her mother. Um, and now that she's getting ready to go off to school, discovered that the money that should be there waiting for her is not there anymore. And I bring this up because, you know, especially like in reference to our friends in Boy Meets World, the real life people that played these characters that we love so much, they had access to this account that, so much of their money had to be set aside for them specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And they got to use that to go to school, to go do things they wanted to do. They didn't have to work necessarily right off the bat, and could have some time to themselves, which is wonderful and great. A lot of them didn't choose to do that, though. They chose to keep working and wanted to be a part of the industry in different ways. Um, and I bring this up because essentially within the realm of the show that we were watching within the show, this law really was not there to protect these three.
Mm-hmm.
So if they had gone and did this whole 6 week, go off and be used by this company, this production studio, there was no protection for them.
No.
And essentially, this turned into a reality show where it was no longer a competition show. So, whatever potential prize money was supposed to be there for the winner, there might not have been actual prize money. They probably would have just been given a rate for their time, and
Mm-hmm.
that would have been it. But again, that money
Yeah.
would not have gone to them, it would go to their parents to then be given to them. So, all of this is to say that Hollywood is complicated and the industry of making movies is complicated, TV shows, and not all of it is great on those that participate in it. And we have
Mm-hmm.
nothing but love and respect for those that put their lives on TV, whether as an actor or as a reality star person, especially those who are young and don't understand what they're getting into at the time. Nothing but love and respect for them. It's a shame of what the industry does to them. And again, they built them up saying they're so important, you're so wonderful, you're so amazing. And the moment that they had any doubts, they just cast them aside.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that is what happens with most of these young people. And then we wonder, why are so many young stars, turning to things like drugs and alcohol and having a hard time coping? It's like, well, as we see in stuff like you know, the dark side of children's TV. A documentary just came out not long ago. Quiet on Set. Unfortunately, they are used for the content and then they are set aside.
Yep, they're just a tool.
Yeah,
Well, viewed
and
as
that is a
one
shame.
anyway.
It's gross.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
I said discussion, and then I ended up just talking. So sorry.
Oh no, that's fine.
But those are the deep dives.
That's cool.
All right. Well, let's talk about what we learned.
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
What did you learn this week, Brett?
What did I learn? I learned it's far too easy to become ensnared in the siren call of brain-dulling entertainment and technology. Do you see that I had about a week of run-up time to craft this? Do not forget to engage tools that are given to us to advance your knowledge as well. Not instead of, but as well.
Mm-hmm.
There is a place for entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
There is a place for escapism. But don't do that don't do that only. Do that as well as increasing your knowledge, increasing your growth.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just do that. What about you, Tyler? What did you learn?
I think I was just reminded that when you are in a position where you impact and are, when you're around teenagers, you have to remember that they are going to fall prey to very easy situations where they are getting what they want. And sometimes you have to be willing to stand and say no. And, be willing to not be liked by them. Sometimes you have to be harsher on them. And it's important sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
They have to know that you have a standard for them and you care enough about them. It's not always fun.
Yep.
And you just have to kind of take heart and just know, just hope that they're going to do the right thing in the end.
Yep.
And as a father, dear Lord, I pray that I never have to run into a situation like this.
Amen.
I'm right.
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
So how do you grade Quiz Show, Tyler?
So here's my problem, Brett. This is an episode that I really love to watch. Like, if this is one of those episodes where and it would be like running on TV, if I caught this, like, oh yes, this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to remember that the point of the show is not getting lost in the logistics of a TV show that they are quote unquote producing, that the actors and the kids are a part of. And I have to go back to, okay, moments in the classroom, moments when they're themselves. What do I see in this episode? And I gotta give this episode an A-, because truly this is a great episode. It's such a fun episode, and I can talk myself into giving it a lower grade because, well, why couldn't the writing staff, think through these things better? They're in the industry, they know what's going on, and this show obviously says all the time, we don't care about inside baseball. We just want to put out a funny show that bites with a little bit of, you're learning, I'm going to teach you something. So, for the factor of what we actually see in school, at the home, but also I do love what happens in the actual show. So, A-.
Oh, that's cool. All right. Well, I am There are a lot of solid moments, a lot of quotable stuff that I run to all the time.
This is good TV.
With this episode. And there are quotes from this episode that will live on my soundboard for a long time now. And there is a lot of solid good teaching. I mean, that Feeny monologue is top 5, if not top 3. And there is a solid lesson learned. And it is not one that, like within season 3, that we saw the teenagers go to each other to figure out. It's one that they learned on their own, but they learned in an appropriate way as well. For me, those holes are a little too big at times for me to keep it in the A tier. It's a B+ for me. It's still one that I will watch over and over again. It is still one I will laugh at. It is still one that I will hold in high regard for the message it teaches. But some of those holes are just a little too big for me from the artistic side. And I honestly, I really liked our idea of Morgan being that last turn of the knife for Cory.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been nice for him to see one more way that he's just a tangible way where he's one of them, to see a tangible way where they're failing their audience that we hear so much about. Mm-hmm. And it's not just a fame thing, that they're suddenly role models and they're actually letting them down instead of just being a fleeting fame. I mean, it's still fine without it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't necessarily up or down my grade either way, but it's just in the discussion, that'd be an awesome element to it.
Well, this is a great concept for a 2-part episode. Mm-hmm. Even if they don't name it a 2-part episode, but also this feels like it fits more with like next season, where they're kind of over school. They don't really think they need to do much more. Like it feels like this almost should have been some form of a 2-parter where Eric's doing his own thing and there's maybe even the storyline for Morgan. That doesn't happen very often. But, there's so much they could have done with this. So I understand you doing a B+, because I almost did a B+ myself, but I have to remember, like, okay, I can't get lost in the minutia of they don't care about context and rules.
Yeah.
It's a chaotic mess, Brett.
We live a chaotic world. Yes.
Yes.
But I believe you have some a dad joke for me.
I do, and I can always throw out another one if you don't like this first one. What's worse than raining cats and dogs, Brett?
I'm sure I've heard some variation of this before. What is worse than raining cats and dogs?
Hailing taxis. I'll give you one more. Where does a cow stay on vacation, Brett?
Wherever he wants. Where?
A motel.
All right.
Hold on, one more. Where do sheep go on vacation, Brett?
Sheep go on vacation. Where?
They go to the Bahamas.
I think that was my favorite. All right.
There we go.
My outro music is not. There it is.
Where's my outro music?
Well, good-looking people, you can find us. We've got 3
Not
more
on TikTok.
Not on TikTok. We've got 3 more episodes for season 4 left. And you can find us online at our other social profiles, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter/X at dadsmeetworld. You can find us on YouTube at dadsmeetworld. And you can send us an email, dadsmeetworld@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to respond to you. Leave us a comment, send us an email. leave us a review on wherever you get your podcasts. It helps get the word out that we exist and shares the dad love. Yeah. And don't look for us on TikTok because we're apparently not there. We're not allowed.
We're not there.
They
Personally,
don't like us,
sure, but
apparently.
Not
Apparently,
there.
we're too wholesome for TikTok. I didn't show enough skin in our clips, apparently. Tyler, until next time. I'll see you, good looking.
Back to you, good looking.
We will not be denied.
I want to be normal, Spud.
You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid?
We are the Timmers.
This is good TV.
Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story.